do in this industry is actually create that kind of a cloud infrastructure. The exchange is nothing but a common platform, which is available at absolutely minimal or absolutely zero cost for intermediaries. They do not actually require to invest so much in building the private roads.
Yes.
What we are giving is actually a public road, which is still world class, which is like a full expressway, which will ensure that this transaction happens. And the second thing what we are doing is we are ensuring that it is completely democratic. It is not something which somebody owns. So it's absolutely available to all the AMCs, all the distributors, all the investors. So it's completely public. It can be used by anyone. So that's precisely what we're doing. In terms of the phase, I think first 4.5 years, the regulator had only allowed us to go hand in hand with the depository, where only people who wanted to hold mutual funds in depositories were actually allowed to use the stock exchange platform. This year, that changed. So effectively, in January, February, SEBI said that you need not hold it in a depository, traditional depository, because effectively in mutual funds, all the registrars are also actually giving out physical statements. They're giving out statements, which is nothing but they are also in some sense a form of a depository. So what we all of a sudden has happened is this year, exchanges have been permitted now to start straddling the entire world. And honestly, only 1% or 2% of the total mutual fund holdings were in depositories. 98% was in the non-depository mode. So effectively, this entire industry is opened up this specific year. And as we speak, in the last 5-6 months, we have already seen a very considerable jump in terms of people connecting to us. Apart from the traditional brokers who are basically connected to us, now we have started seeing pure mutual fund distributors or pure mutual fund IFAs who are now started enrolling on the exchange platform. And we have made it very simple. Earlier, we started with a one lifetime fee of 15,000 rupees, which also we have waived off now. And typically, we don't want people to just register and do nothing with it. So we have put an annual charge, which is to be paid of 2,000 rupees. So effectively, the idea is basically it's virtually free of cost. The whole industry can come and start participating out here. And what we are trying to do is we are trying to give a lot of tools. We're also trying to get a huge amount of ecosystem of vendors who start offering a lot of cloud services, like portfolio management, in terms of the tax-related stuff. We are trying to actually bring all these elements of stickiness so that what you can get typically by having your own car or your own road, we are trying to actually build most of these facilities on this public road itself. And that's precisely the phase which we are growing. I'm sure that, for example, what we have done, for example, one of the innovations which we did was SIPs. SIPs is a very popular form. What we did is we created something called an exchange SIP. So what this exchange SIP does is, the SIP is actually, the mandate is given to the exchange platform. So effectively what we become is, we become like a make my trip. You need not go to the individual AMCs, you just come to one place, and then you're free to actually modify the instructions wherever you want to do it, and effectively the entire thing is automated by us. So you could do whatever it is. So these are some of the things which we can bring in. That's what we are harnessing right now.
Quite interesting. So NSE, BSE, MFU, I know stuff that you guys have done at MyCamps, Carby MFS. If we start exploring the world of infrastructure, it's all out there. I think it's for us to kind of work our way through and kind of use it. I know we've got last 2 or 3 minutes. So what I'll do is start from you, Prabal. Last 30 seconds of summing up from your perspective, because we'll now last 2-3 minutes. So
yeah,
start
I
with
think,
you.
Just if you take a look at the trends and it's non-linear, I think social media would be a very good medium to actually, for asset management companies and for the intermediaries to increase their, increase their client base. At least I know in the US, 85% of the advisors very, very effectively use social media. So I think that would be, the way to go in future.
Social media. Rahul?
I think I would go very simply on this, saying that your consumers, which is the young consumers, 25 to 40, are moving digital. So I don't think mutual fund, all participants in mutual fund have a choice but to be present digitally. That's one. Second point is that I think this entire debate about direct, non-direct, I have very strong views, but I think it's irrelevant. When you are at less than 5% of penetration, I think that debate is meaningless in my opinion.
Sure.
Tomorrow we can offer direct on our platform and monetize it through the ad revenue. So I think that's not difficult. But the point is that, really the prime need of the user
Completely agree.
is about aggregation, everything being at one place and being able to kind of, have it accessible in a very simple manner digitally. And that's what we are doing right now. If the regulations change around, offering direct in that mode, then I think that's very simple to offer to users. So I don't think that's really a
Completely
point over there. So I think that's a meaningless debate. I think we all should focus on growing the industry itself.
Excellent. Srini?
Yeah, you see, the world is aging. People are retiring. There are a lot of concerns around health, insurance, pensions. And people are getting more investment savvy, so they are trying to access a lot of information. I think the key is how does digital help deliver a lot of the information very transparently, and what is it that the infrastructure should enable them to access all of it. You could have smartphones, you could have mobile apps, but the idea is to get the products, the portfolio out to the consumers and build some sort of transparency. And I think this is key because it's only increasing and it's a highly regulated industry, so I don't think that's going to be a challenge. I think digital will play a key role as long as you get the information out, get consumers to understand what are the products, simplify it, and access it through an infrastructure.
Yeah, I think digital has been used by this industry in terms of distribution in some way, but I think need to be looked at a more transformatory kind of thing. So if you, how the business can change, how product can change, how multiple dimension of my business can be impacted by digital. So I think there is a holistic perspective required in terms of looking at digital transformation and mutual fund industry rather than just looking at one of the distribution channel or infrastructure. I think that's one of the key points. Second part is I think the 1.0 was building access. I think somewhere 2.0 is enabling customer, giving right information and inputting right kind of content in an ecosystem which can empower consumer.
Which is your point.
So for me, digital is here. It's inevitable. It's something which is becoming larger and larger in all of us, in all our lives every day. And in some sense, how it's going to help us, almost all businesses, even right from buying a grocery to making an investment, now everything is slowly getting into the digital world. And what we are trying to do, what basically we all are trying to do here is basically how we can increase the efficiency of the business, how we can actually improve information transmission to people, how people can make choice decisions. That is what primarily what this is going to bring. And that is what is basically the alpha which we are going to create by the digital impact.
Super, thank you. 2009 is when Android was introduced, 2008 was when iPhone was introduced, 6 years, and this has become the medium on which everything is being done. 5 years from now, like I said, 600 million Indians will have smartphones. World has changed and is changing. Our only thing is that it's all about scale and reducing costs. That's where all of this discussion leads to. My own end point is the definition of robo is research online, buy offline, because there is never ever going to be substitute for good trust. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, panelists, for that engaging discussion. Sorry? I'd like to request you all to please be seated. Thank you, panelists, for your discussion. I think... We have time for a couple of questions, so we'll be taking a few questions. As we had requested earlier, we request you to just keep them brief. So can we see a raise of hands?
Ask tough questions.
Anyone? Questions? Wow, that was... Okay. Can we have a mic?
This is to CAMS. I face a lot of problems when some of the transactions are rejected. You all don't get back to us, and how are we to know that my client, especially in terms of in SIPs. In SIP, this is a really difficult thing. We get SMSs. I don't even get my SMSs properly, on my own transactions. I had a rejection which I was not intimated. And when you're not saying go green, go green, go green.
I'd appreciate if we can stick to the agenda.
No,
This is an issue.
I'm
I
asking him
appreciate.
how does he handle it?
No.
I'm asking him how does he handle it. It's a question to him.
We're not
It
talking
is for all
about.
of us. I'm
We are
asking on
not
behalf of
talking
all of
about
us.
operational efficiencies of CAMs. Please take up that issue separately. This is a conference
happy
on.
to take it offline.
This is a session on a different topic, sir. Okay, sorry. Yeah. So if you have an issue with CAMs or anyone else, you're welcome to take it offline, but I'm request you to keep to the agenda. So yes, Mukesh ji. Mike here.
So good afternoon, all the panels. Yes, I agree that we are on the age of the digital, but as against of digital, this is the time of the one should go for that way. But in India, what we see that cyber law, we are not discussing on that. When we are going for the digital, and if we have any problem, cyber law experts' fee is very too much, which common man can't afford. So if we throw some light on cyber law, how we can say get associated with the digital world, I'll be happy to hear that way.
Yeah, so if I can say that today, the cyber security risk side of the financial industry goes hand in hand with the way in which we are advancing, in terms of business model. We are putting in caveats in the way in which industries operate. There are a lot more controls that have been brought in terms of audit, in terms of compliance, and everything is being done even on the digital side. So if you're passing transactions or if you're passing sensitive information on social media and all these digital channels, the social risk on what information is being pushed out or consumed is being regulated today by agencies. If you look at the payments industry, there's the NCPI, which is the apex body that monitors all financial transactions. Stockholding Corporation of India has gone digital to a great extent when it comes to filing of securities and returns. So today, the law has taken a view that it is just not the traditional, legal aspects. It has to be digital law. It has to be digital risk and cybersecurity all coming into play. And you can see that amendments coming in from the IT Act of 2000, it has undergone a lot of changes. So I think it's going to catch up depending on the markets, depending on the kind of risks that is happening in each of these separate industries. But yes, there is asynchronicity in this, but it will close out.
We'll take one last question.
Good afternoon, all. I just wanted to understand one practical transaction, how it actually goes online. For example, there is a client who is a new client. He doesn't have KYC. So how does he do that? He uploads the documents on the side and he gets the KYC done. Physical KYC has to be given later or it's not required. So just one transaction practically, if you can just discuss.
Yeah, see, I'd be happy to take that, offline because, again, it's an operational related issue. So we will give you a very detailed process
He
flow.
just gave an example that 30,000 SIPs which has happened in last 4 to 6 months. So if you can just help us out how it happened actually.
So you would want to know a trade secret? Okay. I think we have made it extremely simple for a non-KYC user. He can get transaction done within practically an hour's time. So I think one most important thing is that when the intent of the user is high on transaction, we realize that if at that point of time you ask investment account, KYC documents and other things for him to get investment account ready and then transact, I think by that time his intent goes away and he drops off the funnel. So what we did was that typically if you go to any e-commerce site, if you want to select the mobile, they allow you to select the mobile first. After which at the checkout is when they ask for all the details and the payment and all of that stuff. So we adopted a similar kind of thing that you first come and select what you want to buy. So if your intent is high of purchasing a diversified equity mutual fund, come and do that first. Then through the course of the flow, we take your PAN card. Using PAN card with CVL API, we are able to figure out whether you're a KYC or a non-KYC user. If you're a non-KYC user, we then pop up a window where we take an appointment from you for doing your eKYC. And we ask you the documents to be sent to us in a soft copy format. The moment we do that and the appointment is taken, our person calls you at that point of time by giving you a video link, which is available on a smartphone, and we get the eKYC done, and the documents are then uploaded to RTA for getting the entire thing KYC'd. Once the KYC is done, and in this entire flow, we don't stop your purchase. So we allow to do the purchase, keep the money till the point of time your KYC is done, and then give it to RTA for processing the transaction. Now, in this entire thing, you've made it extremely simple for the user. And that's the way we are getting 2 out of every 3 customers as non-KYC customers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I guess that was our last question. And thank you so much, panelists, for joining us here on stage. It's been an engaging and absorbing discussion. On to our next session. The number of HNIs and ultra HNIs is increasing very fast, creating a new opportunity for wealth and asset managers. But are we well equipped to deal with all this wealth? To help us find the answers to this, may I please invite Kailash Kulkarni, CEO, L&T Mutual Funds, to moderate.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my great privilege, honor, and pleasure to introduce somebody that I have known for the last 25 years. Jayendra Kachalia, who will join us shortly on stage, is a director with Navneet Motors Group. For those of you who are interested in cars, you would virtually know that Navneet Motors or Srinath Hyundai, the entire group, is, you name the brand, virtually they're there in terms of offering those car solutions. Our relation started way back in 1990 when I was with Eicher Motors, and Navneet Motors was the #1 distributor pan-India for Eicher at that point of time. Since then, the Navneet Group has come a long, long way. The difference is that they don't consider themselves as automobile dealers anymore. What they say is that they provide mobility solutions. That's what is their motto. The idea of inviting somebody, not from our industry or not from the financial services to say, was to really try and understand that while dealing with mass affluent or HNI or ultra HNI, is there any difference that is there? Can we learn some new things from an industry player who has been dealing with these people for over 2 decades now and has been extremely successful at doing so? Today, the Navneet Group includes dealerships of premium brands like Rolls-Royce. They have recently got the Ferrari dealership, BMW, Mini Cooper, Jaguar Land Rover, Maruti Suzuki, Hyundai, Honda, Polaris all-terrain vehicle, JCB earth moving equipment, Scania, amongst various other dealerships that they have. They are also into boats and yachts, which is on the marine side in terms of providing mobility. So again, dealing with HNIs, ultra HNIs. Interestingly, as part of their growth and diversification, they have moved into adventure sports, aviation, and also into financial services, insurance broking, reinsurance, etc. So it's hopefully will be a very interesting to hear what somebody from a mobility industry has to say about dealing with customer segments which are known to all of us. So with that, I welcome Jayendra Bhai on the stage.
So good afternoon, friends. I indeed had some doubts when I was invited to this conference as to what an automobile guy is going to do here. But in fact, when I conversed with Prem, I was made to understand that in fact, all the products that we are dealing in and the HNIs that we interact with, it could, if I can come over and share our experience, our understandings as to how is that we deal with them, it could maybe, in fact, help some of you. The challenges over the time are really, really very many. And interacting with HNIs is becoming more and more really tough. So I made a small presentations to take the further, and then I can interact with all of you. So if you'll please permit me, I can just. Yeah, so for the purpose, sorry, let me tell you how is it we classify the wealthy individuals, Broadly, they are like entrepreneurs or inheritors or the investments, professionals. The entrepreneurs to us, like they are the age-old people who have really worked very hard and come up to a stage. Those are the people who are, we classify as entrepreneurs. The next are the inheritors, who has just inherited the wealth from their ancestors. And the professionals, with the advent of the MNCs, you have a lot of professionals who are now getting into a classification of HNIs. And what they do, they create wealth, they create values, they are very ambitious, they are, very, very in a hurry, they are short of time. With all these social medias and digital kind of advancement, they are of all-knowing people, they are very well informed, they travel a lot, and they are really very, very hardworking. Why am I saying all this is because, it is very important that we know these HNIs if we have to deal with them. I do remember, in fact, when we had this Mitsubishi dealership and we were to deal with those Japanese, somebody really came and presented a book to me saying, this is how you deal with Japanese. And the headline says, how to deal with Japanese. So it's very important, we understood from then, that if you have to deal with class of people like HNIs, you really need to understand, you need to dwell into them, to understand them, to deal with them. If I may say, whenever we try to deal with them, and the way we try to understand the success, we try to see what kind of conversions we have. And when you count on the conversions, you see what is the benchmark. But do not try to put a benchmark on yourself, saying that I can create a benchmark. Why is that every individual that I meet, why I should not be able to succeed, why I should not be able to conclude the sales? What is that it takes for us to conclude that sales? I think it takes a lot to conclude. We need to be prepared, we need to be planned, we need to be really going all out in understanding the HNIs. So here it is, I just take you further. So talking about the entrepreneurs, the first class people, they are the elderly people, they are humble, down to earth. Dealing with them is much more easy. They are because very composed. And they are actually the decision makers. They are very, very hands-on on the commercials. So for any and everything, they are the final authorities. There are inheritors who are a bit of a, you may say, it's a bit of a, extravagant. They are full of knowledge because either they have been studied abroad or they are very highly educated and they are very tech savvy. So they know in and out of everything, probably, those medias, they now teach everything. And they travel very, very extensively. So the new rich on the block, they are hardcore professionals, and they expect you to be as well while dealing with them. They are proud to have earned. They are very, very highly intellectuals. They are rational. It's not that they are moody or something. They are very, very rational when they are talking to you or when they are dealing with you. They are very subtle. And they, of course, are very, very image conscious. They care for what they are. Now, if you let's understand the likes and dislikes of these people, what they like, and how do they really spend their personal wealth. The first on their priority list is jewelry. Jewelry is something which is really a sort of a safe investment, as well as, there is a lot of utility to it because it's a variable asset. Then comes the luxury holidays. These days, we have seen the HNIs, they just don't go about just earning and earning. They would like to spend on holidays with them, with their families, with their kids, everybody. So earlier, they don't care about the family, but now everybody cares about their family. They would like to really spend on holidays, and of course, when they are on holidays, they would want to spend a lot on the branded apparels. Then comes the cars, the watches, the boats, and the yachts. Okay, this is something which is really giving them a style statement, which is a status symbol, as well as a lot of utility. And comes then the second home, which they would want to prefer somewhere in a very, very highly developed countries like the London or the New York. Of course, a portion of them, they spend on the charity. As you are aware, that the Indian companies, recent provisions has made it a sort of a requirement for everybody to really spend on the CSR, corporate social responsibility. And individuals don't lag behind. They also think that it is also their responsibility to do something for the society. So it becomes a sort of a public social responsibility for them as well. And what they like from us, when you are dealing with them, this is the crux of it, is to what is they want you to be doing. They want that you should be valuing their time. Like small things, but if you really see down the line, how many people are really able to manage these things in such a metros, but they desire that you should be able to value their time. It is a one-person contact. No more thing of, that you have people specialize in your organizations dealing with a lot of other things. Here, every time, in fact, we have experienced that in the course of one product, one journey, they would like that they should be dealing only with one person and not with too many people. They expect you to be really professionals in their dealings, in your commitments, in your communications. You should be very equipped with everything. You should be equally knowledgeable about your products, about your competitors, and the attire. It plays a very good role. It plays a very complementing role, but it's very, very important. While you may have the knowledge or everything, but first impression is something which is very, very important. And of course, you need to be committed. It is only when you make some mistakes or you are not good at commitments which can put them off. And what is expected out of us? Before you go, you prepare yourself. As much as you prepare yourself on the product that you are giving, you should know about the HNI, whom you are going to meet. What is his history? Some brief you should know about it. So you should know about what is his requirement. It is no more just going and thrusting a product on them. It is like, you get into a need analysis, you understand their utility, and then you really go and try to fulfill those utilities. You need to be true and frank. I mean, sorry to say, but then it cannot be like just bluffing around and getting wrong on the commitments again and again. They don't like to be misguided, and they do not want there should be any communications gap. Important is that you are being proactive, you are talking to them, you are preempting everything, rather than waiting for them to just talk to you, and then, it has been termed as an excuse. I'll just share with you, probably you all may be aware, but then study conducted by Kotak Mahindra. How is that they spend, 28% of it goes to the non-discretionary, 16% to the discretionary, and other you have. Important is to understand that with the HNIs, the requirement of cars, any kind of cars, the luxurious cars, is more of a necessity these days. It is no more a sort of a discretionary item. It is becoming a sort of a necessity for them. And they're really, in fact, though they are very rich, but they value every penny that they spend. They just don't